you agree with
The
this?
coach team who went to Worlds 3 times and didn't make it out of groups. I'm here to explain that everyone in the West is doing Korean bootcamps wrong before Worlds. Let me explain. When really good teams like G2 or FlyQuest go to Worlds, this is what they're thinking. They're thinking, wow, we demolished our region. It was very easy, but Korean and Chinese teams are really hard to play against. So this Korean bootcamp is going to give us the chance to practice against them, level up, learn better macro, and, you know, basically fix their strategy and tactics. But this is a really wrong approach when you go to Worlds. Think about it like cramming for a test the day before. Teams who go to Korea bootcamp are super excited to play Korean solo queue because it's a lot better than solo queue from back home. Not only do they play a lot of solo queue, then they start scrimming and they scrim extra blocks. And so for the first time they're getting tested in solo queue, their practice environment is hard and they're scrimming a lot, which naturally means that a lot of these teams actually end up hitting burnout, even if not in the beginning, but towards the tail end of this tournament. If you think about a lot of the Western teams who get towards the end, in their final interviews, they'll probably say something along the lines of, it's been a long year and I'm really burnt out, I'm really tired, and there's a lot of diminishing returns that they get from this. The second thing is, when they end up scrimming, what they do is they try to emulate stage performance in scrims, which means that they also take results a little bit too seriously. When they
Very true. We always take results of scrims like super serious. It's like Western copium to the maximum. Oh my god, winning win rate against Eastern team. This is good. Getting 5-0'd. Holy shit, world is over.
play better teams and start losing, their response to it is, hey, maybe we should change the champions that we pick. Maybe our read on the meta is wrong. It ends up hurting their confidence. And then these teams do one of two things. One, they sometimes end up practicing a lot more, which again accelerates the rate at which they burn out, or they lose a lot of their confidence and their sense of identity in trying to play what the Eastern teams are playing or what the other teams are good at, and they show up on stage unconfident and not even practiced in the champions and style that they want to play. The best teams, if you think about it from the West, who have like punched up and actually made an impact in Worlds, have often played like they have nothing to lose. They're super confident, they play their own style, and that's actually A, more fun from fans to watch, and B, gives teams a way better chance at actually being able to succeed at Worlds. And when you approach Korean bootcamp, sure, I do think it is important to try to learn from Korean teams and try to, you know, step up your game in order to acclimate yourself to the higher level of competition. But the priority for coaching staff and players should always be, hey, can I keep my confidence up? Am I okay and comfortable with playing the champions that I want to on stage, and be able to trust themselves in their play? Because that is going to be more important than any small things you're going to be learning by cramming for your test the last.
Ah, very true.
I don't want to do an outro! Leave me alone!
Tell them to subscribe.
No!
Jesus. He really hates doing content. That was Parth. He's our coach on TSM from like season 6 to 10. That was a good video. Yeah, agree with every single one of his points. NA teams do have a tendency to go to Korean bootcamp and take it way too seriously and get burned out. I worked harder in every Worlds bootcamp than I did at any other point during the year, and that's because it's not ever as important. Like, I thought I was working really hard when I was like practicing for playoffs and ramping up throughout the season, and finally, you know, like practicing for finals, right? LCS finals. And then it's even to like another level of just like ridiculous degree when you go to Korean bootcamp and, you know, there's just a sort of unspoken, or maybe it's like a cultural expectation to just be literally playing 12 hours a day minimum, up to like, you know, 14 or 16 hours, and just doing nothing else. Like, even going out to eat is essentially considered a waste of time, right? Like, if you want to take like a 30-minute, 1-hour break to just go out, walk outside, go get some food, maybe talk to one of your teammates, you know, to get dinner together, get lunch together. At least back then, it was considered pretty lazy. It was definitely considered very like unproductive and kind of like frowned upon to be doing that consistently. Sure, once in a while, but like, yeah, and I think that mentality is like not really healthy, or really, it's really just a horrible experience to be in. But you feel like it's worth it because you're improving as a player. But are you really? Like, are you really getting better when you're just constantly getting shot down confidence-wise? I don't think so. Nukeduck says Fly didn't scrim Asian teams just to preserve mental. That's become a lot more common recently, yeah. And I think the chances of a Western team upsetting an Eastern team it's like a balancing act, because it's like worse since our region is worse than it was comparatively like 5-10 years ago. And, you know, just like talking about like objective team strength, like I do think that our teams in the West are worse than they were like 5 or 10 years ago, when it was sort of like the golden age of like Western League with G2, with like, you know, Perks, Wonder, Yankos, Mickey X, and Caps. it was, you know, there was like a Fnatic roster with Reckless, there was a TSM roster with me, there was a C9 roster with like Sneaky and Meteos and fucking, why am I blanking on mid lane? Honestly, it was like combo between like Jensen and High. There was like so many good Western teams that seriously could stand toe to toe and actually take a bunch of the Eastern teams like down. Like we would beat them. And I think that era where like objective team strength, it's like advantage for the Western team. I don't think that that's happening anytime in the last like 3 or 4 years. Like I don't think that it's almost always going to be an upset if a Western team wins, where that wasn't the case in those times. In those times, there were Western teams that were so strong that they were the heavy favorites to win versus some of the Eastern teams. So yeah, nowadays it is a lot more like so that takes away some of the win percentage for Western teams. A huge percentage, actually. I'm talking about it like it's not really a big deal. It's the biggest deal. But then on the flip side, you have like a different mentality when it comes to that being that underdog that is a lot better. So I think like, you know, there actually is a real chance for the Western teams to upset the Eastern ones because they just literally come into these boot camps with a different mindset than they did in the past. And they have that sort of like, yo, we're going to play confident and we're just going to go down swinging if we do go down. And that's like way more dangerous to play against. Yeah, of course, Bjergsen. I mean, I was thinking about all the different rosters. Bjergsen and me were on TSM together. But I think that honestly, the most dangerous team was, for me, a tie between 2016 TSM and 2019 Team Liquid. I felt like on both of those years, I felt like we were good enough to win Worlds, and it was just a matter of showing up on the day, which we didn't. But those are the two teams that I felt like were like, wow, like we are so fucking good. And I'm sure a lot of teams at the time felt that way too. We were not like unique in that sense. There was a lot of Western teams that had a lot of confidence, and it's not like just like senseless confidence either. Like our play was, we just played well. We were fundamentally a really good team, but also like we had the things that make kind of like a team special stand out at Worlds. Unique champion pools, unique strategies that only we know.